16,000 destroyed medical devices every single year. This is not a clerical error. It is a calculated part of the business model. They are banking on your ignorance of the rules. A $100 fine for being 2 pounds over? A $2,000 vacation ruined because of one tiny star on your ID? The airport is a high-stakes minefield, and most travelers are walking through it blindfolded. You are about to learn the 12 rules that will help you navigate this chaos with your dignity and your bank account intact. Rule 1 of 12. Major carriers reported losing or damaging over 16,000 mobility and medical devices last year alone. For many, these are not just bags, they are lifelines. Penelope, a 43-year-old physical therapist from Seattle, found herself in a nightmare scenario while boarding her flight at Barcelona El Prat. She was carrying a specialized laser therapy unit worth over $1,200. This machine was her livelihood. As she reached the gate, the agent barely looked up from his screen. He pointed toward the metal stairs of the jet bridge. He told her the item was too bulky for the overhead bin and had to be checked into the cargo hold. Penelope froze. She knew that once that precision-calibrated device left her sight, it would be handled like a sack of laundry. One hard drop on the tarmac and it becomes an expensive paperweight. The airline will not tell you this, but they rely on you not knowing your rights. To them, your medical equipment is just another obstacle to an on-time departure. They profit from your compliance. You lose your gear. Penelope looked at the Boeing 787 waiting on the tarmac and imagined her machine rattling around in the belly of the plane at 35,000 feet. Stop. You do not have to hand it over. Most airlines have specific policies stating that necessary medical equipment does not count against your carry-on limit. It is essentially a free pass. In Penelope's situation, the key is to stay calm and use the right terminology. Look the agent in the eye and say, "This is a necessary medical device for my practice." Do not ask for permission. State it as a fact. Often, the crew can find a spot in the onboard closet or a larger bin reserved for crew luggage. If the plane is truly too small, ask for a gate check tag. This ensures the item is hand-carried to the hold and returned to you at the jet bridge immediately upon landing, bypassing the chaotic carousel. Penelope asked for a supervisor, who quickly realized the gate agent was in the wrong. Her machine stayed with her in the cabin. Reality check. Some regional jets have overhead bins so small they cannot fit a backpack. Politeness is your best tool, but knowledge is your shield. Penelope made it home with her equipment intact, but her stress was far from over. You just saved a $1,000 device, but that is nothing compared to the agony of an 8-hour flight when the seating power play decides your fate. Rule 2 of 12. Check your medical tech long before you drive to Detroit Metro Airport. Most travelers believe a doctor's note is a golden ticket that overrides every airline policy. Henry, a 31-year-old librarian, learned the truth the hard way last month. He was headed to London on an overnight flight with his CPAP machine packed and ready. He felt prepared. He was not. The gate agent stopped him during boarding. She did not care about his note or his prescription. Instead, she pulled out a calculator. Henry watched in total confusion as she started crunching numbers based on his flight time. She told him the flight was 8 hours, but his battery was only rated for 5. The realization hit him like a physical blow. If a medical device fails mid-flight, it becomes a liability the airline refuses to touch. They were going to bar him from boarding. They are banking on your ignorance of these technicalities to keep their liability low. Henry stood there, paralyzed, as the line moved around him. His vacation was slipping away because of a math problem. Here is the fix. Most carriers require your portable medical device to have enough battery life for 150% of the total flight duration. For an 8-hour trip, Henry needed 12 hours of juice. Call the airline accessibility desk at least 48 hours before your flight. Ask to speak with a medical coordinator. Ask them specifically if your model requires pre-approval or a battery life check at the gate. If you use a portable oxygen concentrator, ensure it is on the official FAA-approved list. Never rely on the outlets under your seat. Those plugs often fail or provide insufficient wattage for medical gear. Bring extra battery packs and keep them in your carry-on. It is the only way to ensure you actually get on the plane. Reality check. The final call always belongs to the captain. Politeness is your secret weapon when things go south. Henry managed to find a specialty electronics shop in the terminal that sold a compatible battery, but he paid triple the retail price. He made the flight, but his wallet took a massive hit. Preparation beats luck every single time. Henry secured his health, but he almost lost his comfort. He finally got on board, only to find his seat had been changed. You just saved your gear, but that means nothing if you are stuck in a middle seat for 10 hours. Rule 3 of 12. Lily sat at her kitchen table in Kansas City, her thumb hovering over the airline app while a sharp ache radiated from her lower back. As a 47-year-old graphic designer, she knew exactly what a 3-hour flight in a cramped middle seat would do to her spine. She needed row 1, the bulkhead. It was the only place where her 5'9" frame wouldn't be folded like a lawn chair. But the app was showing a sea of gray occupied icons for the entire front section. The plane looked like a ghost town that was somehow fully booked. Stop. The airline will not tell you this, but the map you see on your phone is rarely a reflection of reality. They are banking on your panic. They hope you will see those gray seats and rush to buy a preferred seat in row 15 for an extra $60 just to escape the very last row. This is where they win. In reality, many of those front row seats are not occupied at all. They are blocked. Airlines keep these prime spots under lock and key for tactical reasons. Sometimes it is for weight and balance on smaller regional jets to ensure the center of gravity is perfect for takeoff. Other times they are held for high-tier frequent flyers who might book at the last minute. Most often, they are legally held for passengers with disabilities or families with infants. Here is the fix. Do not pay the digital ransom. If the map looks suspiciously full in the front, wait until the 24-hour check-in window opens. Many system blocks drop automatically the moment the flight moves into the operational phase. If that fails, get to Kansas City International early and talk to the gate agent. Lily did exactly that. She politely explained her back condition and asked if any bulkhead seats had been released. The agent tapped a few keys, looked at the empty cabin, and handed her a new boarding pass for seat 1C. She spent $0 extra. Understand this. While certain rules protect you, agents have immense discretion. Success is not a 100% guarantee, but understanding how the blocks work usually leads to the best results. Lily made it to her destination without a flare-up. You just outsmarted the booking algorithm. But having a great seat will not matter if you cannot navigate the terminal when your body starts to fail you. Rule 4 of 12. Do you know the exact moment a polite request turns into an awkward confrontation? Elijah, a 28-year-old software engineer from Chicago, found out the hard way while navigating the sleek floors of Copenhagen Airport. To everyone else, he looked like a fit traveler in his prime. In reality, A chronic injury made every step feel like walking on broken glass. He stood there, frozen by the invisible disability trap. He felt embarrassed. He did not want to ask for a wheelchair because he did not look like he needed one. He waited until the pain was a 9 out of 10. The airline will not tell you this, but they often rely on your hesitation to save on staffing costs. By the time Elijah reached the desk, he was snarling in pain. The agent at Copenhagen immediately went on the defensive. The tension was thick. Elijah was not a jerk, he was just hurting. But to the staff, he was just another aggressive passenger. Fear of judgment is a trap that costs you your health. Stop the drama before it starts. Use the status, not story rule. You do not owe the agent your medical history. Walk up to the desk at least 45 minutes before boarding. Say these specific words. I have a non-visible condition and need assistance with the walk to the gate. This phrasing is a professional trigger for airline staff. It moves the conversation from a personal favor to a standard operating procedure. Most agents will immediately call for a cart or offer pre-boarding without asking a single follow-up question. Understand that in a massive hub like Copenhagen, a cart might take 15 minutes to arrive. By staying ahead of the pain, Elijah could have kept his dignity. Health is not a performance. You mastered the art of the ask, but that will not help you when the terminal itself starts working against you. Rule 5 of 12. Nearly 1 in 4 Americans believe airport lounges are strictly for the ultra-wealthy or those holding black titanium credit cards. Take Isaac, a 52-year-old high school principal from Boston, traveling through Raleigh-Durham. He had been sitting on a hard plastic chair for 4 hours after a mechanical delay. His back was screaming. The terminal was a sea of noise and the smell of overpriced pretzels. Just 50 feet away, a frosted glass door promised leather armchairs and silence. Isaac looked at his basic economy ticket and sighed. He thought he was locked out. The system is rigged to make you feel like an outsider. The airline will not tell you this, but that door is not as locked as it looks. Most people assume you need a $600 annual fee to enter. They are wrong. You can often buy a single-day pass for about $50. In Raleigh, you can check apps like Lounge Buddy while you are waiting. If the lounge is half empty, agents often allow one-time entries just to fill the capacity. Isaac checked his banking app and realized his mid-tier travel rewards card actually included 2 guest passes per year that he had never used. He walked up, scanned his phone, and traded the chaos for a hot meal and a recliner. It changed his entire trip. Lounges do reach capacity, and they can turn you away if it is too crowded. However, it is always worth a polite 5-second question at the front desk. Isaac found his peace, but even a leather chair will not save your body from the physical toll of a long-haul flight. You just saved your back, but your health is still at risk from the dry cabin air. That is nothing compared to the physical toll you will take when the ice hack for your medication becomes necessary. Rule 6 of 12. Keep your life-saving medication in your own hands at all costs. Never hand your insulin or heat-sensitive prescriptions to a flight attendant to keep in the galley fridge. It sounds like a helpful offer, but it is a massive gamble. Gabriel, a 39-year-old pharmacist from Philadelphia, learned this at Athens International. He was carrying a 3-month supply of refrigerated medication. The cabin was warm, and he worried about the heat. When the attendant offered to store it, Gabriel felt a wave of relief. Then the system failed. The airline will not tell you this, but their galleys are not regulated medical facilities. During a 2-hour tarmac delay in the blistering Greek sun, the cooling system fluctuated. By the time Gabriel got his medication back, The vials felt lukewarm. He spent the rest of his trip in a state of panic, wondering if his life-saving dose was now just expensive water. Gabriel's mistake was trust. Here is the fix. Invest in a high-quality TSA-approved medical travel cooler. These vacuum-insulated canisters can keep your medicine at a steady 36 to 46 degrees Fahrenheit for up to 48 hours. Under FAA guidelines, you are allowed to carry frozen gel packs as long as they are solid at the time of security screening. Keep the cooler under the seat in front of you. You stay in control of the temperature. You see the digital display. Your health remains in your hands. Reality check. Flight attendants are trained for safety, not pharmacy logistics. They have 100 other passengers and a fridge packed with soda. Gabriel eventually replaced his meds, but the stress ruined his first week abroad. Don't be a victim. Even cold meds won't save you once the logistics of a bumpy flight start to interfere with your basic needs. Rule 7 of 12. Jaden sat in seat 4A on a bumpy flight departing from Cleveland Hopkins, staring at a $45 steak he could barely touch. His hands were not just shaking from light turbulence. It was the agonizing tremor that hits when you realize the entire cabin is watching you struggle. He is a 56-year-old real estate agent who prides himself on his composure. He lifted the silver fork, but the steak remained a stubborn target as the plane dipped into a pocket of rough air. This was not about hunger. It was about dignity. The problem is the physics of the tray table. Most passengers try to fight the vibration by gripping their utensils harder, which only makes the shaking worse. For Jaden, every attempt to cut a piece of meat felt like surgery during an earthquake. He felt the heat rise in his face as a piece of garnish slid off the plate and onto his lap. The airline won't tell you this, but their compact tray designs are practically built to fail during moderate chop. You feel exposed and small. Here is the fix seasoned travelers use. Stop trying to hover. Anchor your elbows firmly against your own ribs or the armrests to create a stable tripod with your body. Instead of sawing at the meat, use the weight of your upper body to press down, moving the knife in tiny, controlled increments. If the turbulence is persistent, do not be afraid to ask the flight attendant for a favor. Ask if the kitchen can pre-cut the meal for you. They do it for passengers frequently, and a professional crew will handle the request with total discretion. Dignity restored. Reality check. This is not a magic spell that stops the plane from shaking. If the captain turns on the fasten seatbelt sign for the crew, put the fork down immediately. Safety beats a steak every single time. Jaden finished his meal without another spill. He kept his shirt clean and his pride intact. You survived the meal, but even a perfectly cut steak won't save your trip if your timing is off at the check-in counter. Rule 8 of 12. Have you ever felt that sinking feeling when your suitcase hits the scale and the numbers turn bright red? It happens in a split second. You are at the counter, and suddenly you are facing a fine that costs more than your entire luggage. Wyatt, a 22-year-old photographer from Portland, was checking in at Oslo Airport after a long assignment. He placed his rugged suitcase on the belt. The display flashed 52 pounds. The limit was exactly 50. The agent pointed at a laminated sheet and stated the fee was $100. Wyatt felt robbed. Paying $100 for the weight of a laptop charger felt like a scam. He looked at the long line of impatient travelers behind him and felt the pressure mounting. The airline will not tell you this, but you have options. Stop. Do not reach for your credit card yet. Wyatt took a breath and asked for a moment to adjust his belongings. Most airlines allow a tiny grace margin, but if the agent is strict, you need a plan. Wyatt used the heavy pocket strategy. He pulled out his heaviest camera lens, a thick power bank, and a bulky travel guide. He stuffed the lens into his jacket pocket and draped his heavy wool coat over his arm. He even moved his boots into his small personal item. He placed the suitcase back on the scale. It read 49.6 pounds. The agent tagged the bag and sent it down the conveyor. He saved $100 in less than 3 minutes. Wear your weight. Reality check. This is not a trick for a bag that is 10 pounds over. If you are massively over, no amount of layering will save you. But for those marginal overages, it is a lifesaver. Wyatt boarded his flight knowing he kept his hard-earned cash. Every dollar counts. Saving $100 feels like a victory, but it is nothing compared to the stress of a logistical breakdown when your bags don't follow you. Rule 9 of 12. Airlines handle over 25 million mishandled bags every year. Aiden, a 41-year-old financial advisor, was living that nightmare at Newark Liberty. He had a United flight landing at 8:15 a.m. and a Lufthansa flight departing at 9:30 a.m. These were on separate tickets. He had one massive 50-pound suitcase that felt like an anchor. He thought he would have to clear security, wait at the carousel, and haul his bag across the entire airport. The airline will not tell you this, but your suitcase can bridge the gap between two different tickets. They are banking on your ignorance. Most legacy carriers have hidden interline agreements that allow them to transfer luggage across separate reservations if both airlines are part of the same alliance. Aiden approached the desk at Newark with both confirmation numbers ready. He specifically asked for a through check to his final destination. The agent clicked through hidden menus on the terminal. The system is designed to make you think you need one single itinerary, but a manual entry can link them. The printer spat out a tag with both flight numbers. Aiden's bag bypassed the Newark carousel entirely. The tag is power. Reality check. This does not work for every flight. If your second leg is on a budget carrier like Spirit or Ryanair, this trick almost never works because they do not share data. However, for major alliances like Star Alliance or SkyTeam, it is a standard tool. Aiden walked straight to his gate and saved 40 minutes of pure panic. Logistical success is about knowing the hidden plumbing of the airport. Aiden saved his trip, but managing your bags is just the beginning. You might save an hour, but you will still lose hundreds of dollars if you fall into the delay compensation trap. Rule 10 of 12. Stop trading your comfort for a cheap meal voucher that barely covers a lukewarm coffee and a stale bagel. When Evelyn, a 48-year-old registered nurse from Orlando, found herself stranded at Zurich Airport, she was exhausted. Her flight had been canceled due to a maintenance issue. The gate agent slid a small piece of paper across the counter. It was a $15 meal voucher. He told her that was all they could do. Evelyn looked at the hard benches where other passengers were already curling up for a night of misery. She was thousands of miles from home and facing a 12-hour wait. The airline was banking on her being too tired to fight back. Here is the reality they hope you never realize. New Department of Transportation rules have changed the game. If your flight is canceled for a controllable reason, like a mechanical failure, you do not have to settle for crumbs. You are entitled to a full cash refund if you choose not to take the rebooked flight. Even if you stay, airlines are now pressured to provide clear information about your rights to lodging and meals that cover actual costs. Evelyn did not walk away. She asked specifically for the carrier's written policy on controllable cancellations. The agent's demeanor shifted immediately. He realized he was not dealing with an uninformed traveler. You must speak up. Politeness is your weapon, but knowledge is your shield. Evelyn eventually got a hotel room and a proper meal because she refused to be an afterthought. Reality check. This does not mean a stack of hundreds will appear at the gate instantly. These rules protect you, but you have to initiate the conversation. Evelyn saved her sanity, but even a hotel room won't save you when the massive changes of the 2025 deadline hit your identity. Rule 11 of 12. Julian sat at a quiet gate in Stockholm, Arlanda, sipping a coffee while waiting for his connection back to Austin. He felt organized. As a 35-year-old data scientist, he planned his trips months in advance. He was already thinking about his Memorial Day flight to visit family. But he was about to realize that his $2,000 vacation was already in jeopardy. He looked at his standard driver's license. To him, it was just plastic. To the TSA, starting May 7, 2025, it becomes a total non-starter. Stop. Look at that date. May 7th, 2025. That is the day the Real ID Act finally hits full effect after years of delays. If your license does not have that little gold or black star in the top right corner, you are not getting past security for a domestic flight. It does not matter if you have a ticket. The airline will not tell you this because their job ends at the check-in counter. They are banking on your ignorance to avoid a nightmare at the gates. Julian assumed his passport was only for international hops, but soon it might be his only way to fly to Chicago. Check your ID right now. If it lacks the star, you need to visit the DMV immediately. Wait times are already surging as millions of Americans realize they are unprepared. Alternatively, you can use a valid passport or a global entry card. Most people assume the deadline will be pushed back again. It won't. The government has made it clear this is the final line in the sand. Don't be the person arguing with a TSA agent while your plane departs. Reality check. While rules are strict, there are some temporary exceptions for specific federal IDs, but relying on a standard license is a gamble you will lose. Julian realized he needed to renew his ID the moment he landed. He saved his summer, but your ID isn't the only thing that can trap you in a 2-hour line. Rule 12 of 12. Have you ever stood in a security line so long your feet felt like lead weights? That is the grim reality for thousands of people every day. They feel trapped in a suffocating cycle. Take Mason, a 59-year-old architect from Las Vegas. He was trying to catch a tight connection at Frankfurt Airport. The line ahead of him looked like a mile-long snake of frustrated humanity. Mason stood there as his departure time crawled closer. 11:15, 11:30. The air was stale and the stress was a knot in his stomach. He felt like the entire airport was designed to force him into buying expensive memberships. The system is rigged, but there is a way out. You do not need to pay $189 for Clear or wait months for a government background check to skip the wait. It is real, and it is completely free. Many major hubs now offer a virtual queue or reservation system. You simply go to the airport's official website 48 to 72 hours before your flight and book a specific 15-minute window for security screening. When Mason arrived at his scheduled time, he did not join the masses. He walked right up to a dedicated reserve lane. The staff scanned his QR code, and he breezed through in under 5 minutes. No fee, no subscription. It is a smarter way to travel. They are banking on your ignorance, hoping you will just stand there and accept the misery. While this service is not at every terminal yet, it is expanding rapidly across the US and Europe. It is a standard program designed to smooth out the crowds, but most people are too busy looking at the floor to notice the signs. Don't be a victim. Now you have the ultimate roadmap to beat the terminal. The airlines hate that you know this. Hit subscribe to keep winning and beating the system together.